Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Fiction Network. Wukong. Starting by mistakenly entering a different world and returning invincible. In the Battle of Shalu, in order to protect the Earth, Sun Wukong mistakenly entered a different continent during Shalu's self-destruction. Sun Wukong. Ha! How did my tail grow out? Kindness to the enemy is cruelty to oneself. The game of good and evil, is the soul distorted or sublimated? Here, our Wukong will be reborn. This is a story of Wukong flying to the heavens and realms, and the legend of the Super Saiyan will also kick off in the heavens and realms. Years later, due to the Earth crisis, Wukong returned once again. Watching Sun Wukong swiftly kill extraterrestrial friends, and wreak havoc on all sides. Klin was a bit frightened. Wukong, you have changed. What has he gone through? He's even more cruel than me, said Vegeta with a flustered heart resurrected Frisa. Lord Wukong, do you lack a younger brother? King Quan, Wes, and Billus respectfully bent down 90 degrees. Hello, Brother Kong. The battle of the gods has arrived. The air god flies Lu Wanshi, and the gods of all realms bow down to submit. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Flash Sale. You are listening at novelful.audio. Ahahaha. Let's all go to hell. Shalu's eyes were bloodshot and his expression was crazy. It's about to end in 10 seconds, 10. 9. 8. That's right, just like the original plot, in the Battle of Shalu, Sun Wukong completely erupted and broke through Super 2. Shalu, who was completely physical, was as weak as a child in front of Super Second Sun Wukong, and was directly abused to the point of having no strength to fight back. No, Shalu's mentality has completely collapsed. He has activated the self-destruct mode, his body continues to expand, he wants to destroy the entire Earth, he wants to die with everyone. So, in order to save everyone and save the Earth, our Sun Wukong appeared. Wufan, help me apologize to my mother. I have always been presumptuous. After explaining to Sun Wufan, Sun Wukong immediately moved away from Earth with the soon-to-self-destruct Shalu, and the only place he could think of at that time was the small planet of the Northern Realm King. When Sun Wukong appeared on the Realm King star with Shalu, the North Realm King, who was picking his nose, was startled. Then there was a loud bang, and then there was no more. The entire Northern Realm King star exploded. However, no one noticed that a twisted spatial crack appeared in the core area of the Shalu self-explosion. A powerful suction flashed away, and the spatial cracks also disappeared. This is a dense forest, with a big tree surrounded by 8 people comparable to your bucket waist. At this moment, in the depths of this forest, a dangerous place called Qinglong Cliff is engaged in a fierce battle. That is a battle between a human and a blood-colored dragon with 3 heads. Upon closer inspection, it is the bloody dragon that is trapped and killing more than 10 humans. The blood-colored dragon is several tens of meters long, like a small mountain peak, with wings on its back, hovering in the air. Its terrifying 3 heads spew hot blue flames from their mouths, surrounding more than 10 people. These dozen or so people were emitting strong energy fluctuations all over their bodies, wielding long swords and countless sword shards were unleashed. However, they were not attacking, but weaving countless sword blades in front of them into a huge sword net. The sharp sword energy emitted by the sword net resisted the spreading flames around it. Damn it, how could there be 3 Lord-level monsters like the Flame Dragon here? These are great monsters that can rival the human realm. Among the dozen or so people, the handsome young man had an unpleasant expression on his face. He waved his sword while speaking. Something's wrong, these 3 Yanlong songs have a problem, it seems like they have been manipulated by someone. On the side of the young man, a young girl in blue frowned slightly. As a palm spirit master, she sensed the fluctuation of the spirit control spell from the bodies of these 3 scorching dragons. The spirit control mantra is a means of controlling living beings, whether they are humans or monsters, they can be controlled. This is someone specifically dealing with my Qinglong sect, is it Zixiao sect? The green-clad girl's gaze flickered. Faced with the flame attack of 3 scorching dragons, everyone dared not slack off and burst into a full-body fight, fully resisting it. While resisting, waiting for the strong members of the sect to come and support. The distress message has already been sent out, and they believe that as long as they persist for a moment, they can be rescued. However, those 3 scorching dragons seemed to know everyone's thoughts and suddenly increased their attack. The power of the blue flame instantly increased several times, and the terrifying high temperature almost burned out the space. There was a hissing sound in the air. The defense sword net that everyone joined forces showed signs of being burned and melted, starting to dissolve at a visible speed to the naked eye. This scene made everyone's faces change drastically. Not good. Junior brothers, please take Sister Yun with you first, and I'll take care of her. As the chief senior brother of the Qinglong sect, I stepped forward in this crisis. No, senior brother, you're not its opponent. We'll stay and help you. Suddenly, several junior brothers spoke out one after another, expressing their unwavering determination and fearlessness towards death. No, hurry up and take Sister Yun away. Although I'm not defeated by this beast, it's still okay to hold it for a moment. You don't have to worry about me. Lying down. As the senior brother spoke, he turned around to look at the other junior brothers. At this glance, he was momentarily dumbfounded. At the last moment it was said that the junior brothers who were fighting alongside him had already retreated hundreds of meters away, running even faster than the bite rabbit, leaving only one person around him alone. In the distance, there were also encouragement from several junior brothers. Senior brother is mighty, senior brother is awesome, senior brother is watching you. Your sister. This scene made senior brother's mouth twitch slightly. Their retreat resulted in a sharp decrease in the power of their defense sword and net, which was instantly burned into nothingness by the blue flames of the 3 blazing dragons. 9 Yuanli sword technique. With a loud shout, the senior brother unleashed his strongest trump card. He was confident that with his half-step cultivation level, he could unleash this sword. Even if he was defeated by the 3 flame dragons, it should not be a problem for him to be injured. Chong. The sword's intent surged into the sky, and the powerful fighting spirit transformed into a surging energy tide spreading towards the surroundings around him. Senior brother's whole body is shining with dazzling golden light, like a heavenly god descending, extraordinary in martial arts. He held a golden light long sword in his hand, took a step out, and at the same time swung the long sword in his hand. This sword, without any fancy, yet this seemingly ordinary sword unleashes a trembling power. The space ahead seemed to be divided in half by everything, emitting a terrifying explosion of air. In the next moment, a dazzling golden sword light extended from the long sword in the hand of the senior brother. The sword light rose in the storm and turned into a 100-meter giant sword, fiercely slaying like 3 scorching dragons. Shoo! In an instant, the blue flame was instantly split apart, and the senior brothers who had retreated to the distance dared not breathe. They all held their breath and stared intently at the master brother Kaida. It's amazing. I didn't expect senior brother to have already cultivated the 9 Yuanli sword technique to such a high level. This sword, even those who are truly strong in the terrain dare not forcefully take it. No wonder senior brother said he could restrain these 3 scorching dragons. So. Digging a groove. Half of the shocked words of the crowd suddenly turned into shock. Sister Yun's face turned pale as they saw a terrifying scene. Senior brother's golden treasure sword struck the heads of 3 flame dragons and shattered with a snap. That's right, senior brother's big sword is broken, let me wipe it. Senior brother is also confused, this looking at the 3 scorching dragons without any damage in disbelief, master brother felt empty. This is too exaggerated, isn't it? It's impossible for one's own attack to have any effect, isn't it? How could these 3 flame dragons be so strong? After finishing his calf, the eldest senior brother's face turned pale. The last blow had already consumed 8 or 9 layers of fighting energy in his body, and now it's almost difficult to escape. Breathing heavily, the senior brother's face showed a bitter smile. Is it possible that my generation of Tianjiao sword Wuchen will fall here today? Mudun, I am not willing to accept it. I am unparalleled in style and have not yet gotten married, nor have I tasted the taste of a woman. Senior brother's heart has cooled to a great extent. The 3 flame dragons do not care about the thoughts of the senior brother. At this point, it has completely entered a state of frenzy, which had already lost its rationality. Roar! A terrifying blue flame spewed out from its 3 huge mouths, and Sword Wuchen revealed despair. The speed is too fast, it's too late to dodge. However, at this moment, the void in front of Jian Wuchen suddenly fluctuated in an instant. A space crack flashed, and a young man wearing a tattered orange martial arts uniform with a strange crab head hairstyle was thrown out of this space crack. The young man looked disheveled, with a lethargic aura and tattered clothes all over his body, as if he had experienced some kind of life and death catastrophe. His body was covered in injuries, and some of the wounds were deep and bone visible. He slumped in front of his master brother, his face shocked by the blue flames rushing towards him. This is... The crisis caused him to burst with sweat all over his body, subconsciously mobilizing the few qi in his body and pushing forward with one hand. Buzz! A palm-sized Qigong bullet flew out. In an instant, the blue flame in front of me was disintegrated into a huge void, and the flame burst and dissipated. The Qigong bullet kept moving at an extremely fast speed, drawing an arc in the air and dragging its light blue tail towards the 3 confused dragons. Boom! The Qigong bomb exploded with astonishing power, and a blazing light exploded. In an instant, it shook within a radius of 10 miles. 3 scorching dragons dodged without haste, but were hit by Qigong bullets, screamed in agony, and were extinguished by smoke and ashes. A huge mushroom cloud rose in the sky. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Heavenly Realm. You are listening at novel FUL.audio. Before long, the mushroom clouds dispersed. The huge bodies of those 3 scorching dragons have completely disappeared, and the place where they stand has become a huge pit. Senior brother Jian Wuchen. Stupid eyes. Everyone. Stupid eyes. All the faces were written in bold and capital letters, unbelievable. I'm a big grass, what's the situation? Lord Demon, have you hung up? Coincidentally, everyone's gaze fell on the severely injured young man dressed in tattered martial arts attire and with a special hairstyle. At this point, the young man who fired the Qigong bomb was completely unable to get up. Jian Wuchen quickly stepped forward to observe and immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Although his breath of life was weak, fortunately there was still breath, and he was temporarily unconscious. After careful observation, Jian Wuchen couldn't help but feel a slight twitch at the corner of his mouth. The opponent's injury was too severe, with a collapsed chest, skin and flesh turning outward, and countless bones broken throughout the body. Multiple internal organs were severely injured. It's a miracle that he hasn't died yet, and what shocked this senior brother the most was that with such a terrible injury and such a weak state, he could even kill 3 flame dragons in one move. How powerful this person was during his period of complete victory, and how did such a powerful existence experience such a tragic outcome? Suddenly, Jian Wuchen's expression froze. The young man in front of him seemed to have appeared out of thin air just now. Yes, there was also a crack. Empty. Space crack. Sleeping groove. Just now, I didn't pay attention to the crisis of life and death. At this moment, Jian Wuchen completely realized it. Lie down, that's the legendary space crack. This young man came out of the space crack. It is rumored that only the great emperor can tear open the cracks in space. Is this unconscious guy in front of me the rumored great emperor? Impossible, impossible. Jian Wuchen shook his head vigorously, and the other party seemed to be about the same age as him. How could he possibly be a great emperor? Besides, the great emperor is just a legend, and there is no such thing as a great emperor in the world today. But the young man in front of me did indeed emerge from a spatial crack. How can this be explained? That's right, the young man is Sun Wukong. Shalu self-destructed, and Sun Wukong in the center of the explosion naturally bore the brunt. The terrifying energy fluctuations submerged Sun Wukong, and the desperate destructive power instantly plunged him into serious injuries. If it continues for another half second, it will definitely die, but coincidentally, the energy generated by Shalu's self-explosion is too strong, and in a short moment, it will tear apart a space crack. At the critical moment, Sun Wukong, who was seriously injured, mistakenly entered a space crack. Through the cracks in the space, a coincidence appeared here, successfully breaking away from the setting of Akira Toriyama. This is a mystical world, without fancy and gorgeous magic, there are only battles that proliferate to the peak. Aha! Sorry, there was a mistake. Let's start over. This is a mystical world, with not only colorful magic, but also the fighting spirit that thrives to its peak. The Qingjien sect is one of the 8 major forces in the Qinglong domain of the divine and demon continent. At this moment, Jian Wuchen and others rushed back to the sect, while the 2 of them carried stretchers. On the stretcher, Sun Wukong lay unconscious. Seeing the core disciples of Jian Wuchen return, the guards guarding the gate dare not neglect and immediately release them. After returning to the sect, Jian Wuchen immediately reported to the upper echelons of the sect what had happened in the Demon Do Forest. The news of someone manipulating 3 flame dragons to deal with them suddenly spread among the upper echelons of the sect. In the great forest of magic fighting, opportunities and dangers coexist, and countless warriors will enter it to experience and hone their martial arts skills. It can be said that it is the paradise of adventurers in hell. Among them, there are naturally many crises. In theory, even if the trainees are killed, their strength is not strong, no wonder people. However, if the one being attacked and killed is a disciple of the Qingjien sect, that's different. The Qingjien sect is one of the 8 supreme sects in the Qinglong domain, and the Qingjien ancestor is also a top powerhouse in the Qinglong domain, with the key being the most protective of the young. Unexpectedly, the core disciples of his sect encountered an ambush while undergoing training outside. This ancestor was exposed on the spot, and a special mission was made to investigate this matter thoroughly by the high-level officials of the sect. On the other hand, Sun Wukong, who was seriously injured and unconscious, was arranged for the best treatment. For Sun Wukong, the Qingjien sect is very grateful. According to the master brother Jian Wuchen, if it weren't for Sun Wukong, they might not be able to come back now. The appearance of Sun Wukong, how it appeared, and the matter of spatial cracks have also been reported in detail by Jian Wuchen. The senior officials of the Qin Sword sect were all shocked by this. This person is extraordinary and must be well received and not offended. This is the unanimous attitude given by the senior officials of the sect after the meeting. Xianyuan Pool. Not only does it have a miraculous effect on recovering injuries, but it also has a special effect of refining blood vessels, which has extraordinary benefits for warriors with strong blood vessels. It can be said that Xianyuan Pool is one of the important areas of the Qingjien sect. At this moment, Sun Wukong is soaking in the Xianyuan Pool. Mysterious energy surged into his body, and his injuries were recovering at a remarkable pace. At the same time, the blood vessels of the Saiyan people in the body are also undergoing subtle changes, and every cell in the body seems to be active, crazily devouring the energy in the pool water. After an unknown amount of time, Sun Wukong slowly woke up from his coma, slowly opened his eyes, his vision slightly blurred, and then became clear. Where is this? Sun Wukong looked left and right in confusion, somewhat surprised by the unfamiliar environment around him. He remembered that Shalu was about to self-destruct, and he took him to move away from Earth in an instant and went to the realm King Star. No, right after the Sharu explosion, it seemed like I was just sucked into a crack, and then. Thinking of this, he remembered that he had inexplicably entered another environment through that crack, and there seemed to be a blue flame spraying towards him at that time. Then I instinctively hit a Qigong bullet, and then it disappeared, as if I was unconscious. Standing up from the pool, Sun Wukong realized that besides his tattered clothes, his injuries had actually healed quite a bit. But why did you appear here and where is this place? With both fingers pressed against his eyebrows, Sun Wukong planned to use it to move back in an instant. But then, he was confused and couldn't find the anger of Wufan and the others. Vegeta, Bic, and Trunks all disappeared, as if they didn't exist. Is it because I was too far away from the Earth after passing through that strange crack, so I couldn't sense everyone's anger? Leaving the pool, Sun Wukong's body trembled slightly, and a semi-transparent flame flashed away, evaporating the water on his clothes in an instant. Sun Wukong slowly suspended and rose. Ling stood in mid-air, gazing at the surrounding palaces, pavilions and buildings, several peaks towering in the distance, and clouds surging. The scene in front of Sun Wukong couldn't help but show his shock. It was really beautiful, just like a scroll painting. At this moment, the disciples of the Green Sword Sect not far away also noticed Sun Wukong standing in the air. Seeing Sun Wukong, everyone immediately couldn't move their gaze. Crouching slot. Heavenly realm. How could it be? Such a young celestial realm powerhouse. Oh my goodness. It's so scary. My disciples, every word you say, I am shocked to the point of being a loser. Not using Duki to transform wings and fly in the air is a symbol of the heavenly realm. The disciples exclaimed that there were some masters among them, and at a glance, it was evident that Sun Wukong was only in his 20s. Such a young celestial realm powerhouse, what an incredible talent. It seems that Xiao Kuang, who is known as the #1 pride of the divine and demon continent in Zhongzhou, also broke through the heavenly realm at the age of 20. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Top strong players in the Qinglong domain. You are listening at novel full.audio. At this moment, suddenly in the distance, more than 10 majestic auras rose up from the main hall of Longzhou Peak, and then more than 10 figures transformed into flowing light and flew towards them. In the blink of an eye, it flew into the air around Sun Wukong, and the light dissipated, revealing 12 figures. 3 of them stood in the air, while 9 of them fought and turned their wings. They are the high-ranking officials of the Qingjin sect, led by a middle-aged man with a small 8-character beard, who is the contemporary leader of the Qingjin sect, Jian Yutian. In mid-air, Sun Wukong looked at the dozen or so people who suddenly appeared around him and couldn't help but feel a bit shocked. You have such strength at a young age. It's amazing. I am the leader of the Qingjin sect, Jian Yutian. Thank you for taking the initiative to save our disciples during the crisis. Upon hearing this, Sun Wukong became even more confused. Did I save your disciple? When did I save it? Why don't I know? That's right. Jian said, nodding with a smile. He could understand Sun Wukong's confusion, as he had previously learned the details from Jian Wuchen. The young man with a strange hairstyle in front of him was only subconsciously attacking 3 scorching dragons due to his own crisis. After the attack, he fell into a coma and did not even see Jian Wuchen and others throughout the journey. However, it is a fact that he killed 3 flame dragons, which is equivalent to transforming and saving the disciples of his sect. That is enough. Besides, if the young man in front of us can emerge from the cracks in space, his identity should not be underestimated. As our ancestors have said before, we must never have any grudges with him. Furthermore, to make good friends, Tian thinks it's possible to make some new friends. Oh, by the way, I don't know what you call me, little brother. Jian said to Tian Dao. My name is Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong smiled and said. It's not bad. It seems that the young friend's injury is recovering well, really. Ga. Sword said. Tian nodded, and halfway through the conversation, the whole person was stunned on the spot. His gaze fell on Xianyuan pool below, and the corner of his mouth twitched wildly. The energy in Xianyuan pool is immense and extremely rare as a power of life. Not to mention healing a strong heavenly realm person, even 10 heavenly realm people with serious injuries can be easily healed. However, at this moment, after healing the young man's injury, the spiritual power in the Xianyuan pool was actually consumed by 70.8%. That is to say, the energy in the pool is almost absorbed by the other party. Mamma mia! This scared Jian Yutian to the point of being foolish. At this moment, other big shots present also noticed the change in Zunyuanqi's expression, all of whom had changed their faces wildly. Everyone looked at Xianyuan pool below, then at Sun Wukong, each with a complex expression, and even a face full of anger. The Xianyuan pool has dried up, and for their Qingjian sect, the loss is no longer so simple. Sword said, roaring in the heart of heaven. Ma Dan, you've suffered a great loss. What's wrong? Sun Wukong scratched his head in confusion as he saw that everyone's expressions were not right. He also looked down at Xianyuan pool below. No, it's okay. Sword said with a bitter smile and shook his head. As the head of a sect, although he was unhappy, it was not easy to get angry. After all, the other party saved his own disciple, especially Sword Wuchen, who was his son. Another thing is that being able to absorb so much spiritual power in such a short period of time indicates that the other party is even more extraordinary. If you can avoid turning your face, try not to turn it around. However, Jian said that heaven can tolerate it, which does not mean that others can also tolerate it. The angry 6 elders simply gave up. On the spot, he stared at Sun Wukong coldly and said, how could it be okay? Our sect kindly used Xianyuan pool to treat you, but you actually consumed so much of the spiritual power in Xianyuan pool. Do you know? How much damage did this cause to our Qingjian sect? Elder Jianyu, stop talking. The sword said in a deep voice, frowning at the sky. Why not say it? It's clearly his problem, and you don't know how important the power of life is to our sect. Whether our ancestor can step into that level depends on the life pool. Now, it's all over, let this kid stir it up. At this moment, the 4th elder also spoke in a deep voice. Jian Yutian felt a bit awkward, numb, and disrespectful. He didn't even listen to the words of our sect leader. Although the other elders did not speak, it was not difficult to see from their expressions that they also had objections to Sun Wukong regarding this matter. The atmosphere was a bit unnatural for a moment. Sun Wukong was a single-celled battle maniac, but it didn't mean he was foolish. Although he was still a bit confused, he realized the situation in front of him. It seemed that he had seriously damaged their interests, and the problem was the pool below, what kind of spiritual power. Sun Wukong didn't have a domineering personality originally, so he felt a bit embarrassed and scratched the back of his head with a dry smile. What's that? I don't know how it happened. What is the power of life? Why don't I compensate you? Compensation. Not to mention it's okay, Sun Wukong's words directly angered the elders. A middle-aged elder who had not worn the inner treasury couldn't help but point at Sun Wukong and angrily said. You're talking about lightness. You think the power of life is like cabbage, and you can have it with you if you want. It's accumulated from the life essence mineral year after year. How can you compensate? Because he was angry and overly excited, what he said was that spittle stars were flying wildly. Now, even the face of sect leader Jian Yutian is a bit unsightly. Speaking of which, Sun Wukong was also very depressed at this moment. He inexplicably arrived at this inexplicable place, and then inexplicably used the things of these people. Now, he was scolded by these people inexplicably. There are more and more disciples around below, including 12 core disciples led by Jian Wuchen. The movement here has attracted many people, and at this moment, everyone is discussing it. Okay. At this moment, an old voice sounded, not loud, but as if it was ringing in everyone's ears. Everyone was taken aback, heard the sound and looked away, then all bowed respectfully and said, "Let's pay respects to our ancestors." Above the crowd, a wrinkled old man with white hair appeared at some point. He hunched his back, like an ordinary old man. He was the strongest of the Qing sword sect, the ancestor of the Qing sword sect. The heavenly realm was perfect, and he was only one step away from entering that transcendent realm. At this moment, besides Sun Wukong, everyone present respectfully saluted. Qingjian Patriarch waved his hand and his gaze fell on Sun Wukong. Similarly, Sun Wukong also looked at Qingjian Patriarch. From the old man, he felt a strong energy fluctuation. Qingjian ancestor didn't speak, just looked at him like this, and the people below dared not speak. They were all waiting to see how ancestor would handle this matter. "You're very good." Suddenly, Qingjian Laozu nodded, his old face showing a kind smile, and then the conversation changed, "But you have cut off a large amount of spiritual power from our sect's Xianling pool. This is indeed a bit excessive. Okay, after all, you have saved my disciple from the Qingjian sect, and I won't make it difficult for you. If you and I fought together and you won, this matter will be exposed. If you lose, you can do something for me. How about that?" As soon as these words were spoken, everyone in the room was taken aback for a moment, and then there was an uproar. "What? I won't hear you wrong, did my ancestor actually want to do it himself?" "Yeah, it seems to me that my ancestor hasn't made a move for many years." At this moment, even the high-ranking officials such as Jian Yutian looked at the ancestor in surprise. Ignoring the shock of everyone, Qingjian Patriarch looked at Sun Wukong and waited for his decision. "Okay. Let's have a fight then." "That's great, the things that can be solved by fighting are not a problem." Sun Wukong just thought for a moment and agreed. Although his injury had not yet healed, he was confident that he would have no problem dealing with the old man in front of him. As for returning to Earth, it's not urgent. Anyway, Sharu has already passed away. Sun Wukong's body slowly rose and flew upwards, standing at the same height as the green sword ancestor in the air. The sword below said that Tian and others couldn't help but twitch their lips slightly. "Good guy, a newborn calf is not afraid of tigers and really dares to fight. Do you know who you are facing? That's our green sword ancestor. It can be said that the invincible existence of the entire green dragon domain is not an exaggeration." Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Rolling. You are listening at novel full.audio. "Grandpa, be careful, I'm coming." Sun Wukong smiled confidently and assumed a combat posture. "Grandpa." Qingjian Laozu's mouth twitched slightly, it was the first time someone had called him grandpa. "Come on, I'll give you 3 moves first." With a smile, Qingjian ancestor stood with his hands down, exuding a master's demeanor. As a highly skilled sect, Qingjian ancestor naturally wouldn't take action before the younger generation. Whoosh! Without saying a word, Sun Wukong moved and his figure transformed into a lingering shadow, disappearing instantly. It's so fast. Qingjian ancestor couldn't help but stare at his old eyes. Bang! Before he could react, Sun Wukong appeared in front of him in an instant, his sandbag-sized fist violently hitting the abdomen of Qinglong ancestor, with pure explosive power exploding. Puff! Qinglong patriarch was beaten into a capital and bold U-shaped shape, with his eyes bulging and flying backwards. At the same time, a large mouthful of blood sprayed out, roughly at least 1206 milliliters. Lying trough. Everyone watching the battle was stunned, my ancestor was knocked away. Thundering the blue sword ancestor, Sun Wukong's body leapt out again, catching up with the green sword ancestor like lightning, and then launching a double punch attack. Bang bang bang. There are no flashy special effects, some are explosive power from fists to flesh, and a sharp combo output. At this moment, Qinglong ancestor was completely stunned. He was actually beaten up by the other party as soon as he came up, and he couldn't help but feel a little angry. What are so many people watching under mad? How could you embarrass me? But what shocked him next was that he couldn't counterattack when he wanted to, completely unable to keep up with the opponent's speed. At close range, he could only barely defend. So fast speed, so strong physical strength. Qinglong ancestor's face became increasingly ugly, and he was also feeling frustrated. At this level, who would be particularly close to him in close combat? They were all competing in terms of fighting spirit and martial arts skills. Whoosh! Just as he gritted his teeth to avoid the opponent's attack, he was covered by the opponent's leap and a split leg. Qinglong ancestor gritted his teeth and crossed his arms to block. Boom! At the next moment, the whole person was chopped down from the sky. Shoo! Qinglong patriarch landed at a speed of 10,000 yards. With a loud bang, the earth below shook violently, and dust and smoke rose everywhere. A huge deep pit was smashed out like this. At this moment, the whole scene was silent, with everyone staring blankly. The man was so shocked that he couldn't close his mouth, and the woman was so shocked that she couldn't close her legs. Everyone couldn't believe their own eyes. Their ancestor, the invincible leader of the Qinglong domain, was beaten to the point where they had no fighting power. Sword said, the high-level officials of the Tian and other sects are already dumbfounded. You should know that our ancestors have a great and perfect heavenly realm. If the other party can suppress our ancestors and fight, is it possible that Sun Wukong is an existence that transcends the heavenly realm? So fierce. Who the hell is he? The crowd below began to boil, and there was a brief confrontation, making a high and low judgment. Buzz. At this moment, an energy wave diffused from the deep pit, followed by a powerful fighting spirit sweeping across the four directions. In the sunken pit, the green sword ancestor wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth, and a fierce blue fighting spirit surged around him, while ascending step by step into the air. Seeing this, Sun Wukong breathed a sigh of relief. He was worried that he had hit hard earlier, but now it seems that his worries are unnecessary. The old man's condition is impressive. Not bad, little friend. Just now, I was careless and didn't dodge. Next, I will take it seriously, be careful. Standing in the air, Qinglong ancestor was not angry, at least on the surface. That old man also needs to be careful. He just warmed up earlier, and next, I also need to show some strength. Sun Wukong's face still exudes confidence. Oh. Is that right? Then I need to give it a good lesson. As the words fell, the green sword ancestor's fighting spirit erupted, and his palms drew a circle in the void. He then combined his fingers and formed a sword, pointing towards Sun Wukong. Whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, the majestic fighting spirit transformed into hundreds of blue sword rays shooting at the opponent, with a sharp aura overwhelming the sky and earth. The violent fighting spirit swept across the four directions, and the space twisted as the 100 swords passed by. For a moment, Sun Wukong was shrouded in dense attacks. That's right, this time our Qinglong ancestor took action. During the warehouse exchange just now, he had roughly figured out the opponent's strength and should be on par with himself. And the other party is good at close combat, so they can distance themselves and launch long-range attacks, so they probably dare not resist. Bai Xian Spirit Swordsmanship. Below, everyone who saw this scene was shocked and exclaimed. With one move, the ancestor actually directly demonstrated his old man's famous skill, and the next moment, they were dumbfounded again. Suddenly, a white energy flame emerged from Sun Wukong's body. Then squatting slightly, turning to the side, turning the hips, clenching the fist, and pulling the arm like a full moon startled the bow with a punch. With a loud roar, the terrifying punch force, accompanied by a fierce gust of wind, directly tore apart the dense sword shards. So strong. Now, even Qingjian Ancestor himself was a bit dumbfounded. However, Qingjian Ancestor was a strong warrior of his generation, and after a brief shock, he regained his composure. He pinched the formula with both hands, and a mysterious wave of fighting energy emanated. For a moment, the wind and clouds surged around the world, and a sharp sword sound echoed throughout the room. In the next moment, the broken sword shards condensed into a 100-zhang giant sword in mid-air. At the moment when the giant sword was formed, an astonishing sword intent instantly enveloped the entire Qingjian sect. Too scary, is this our ancestor? This sword has a terrifying connotation. Senior brother, your water valve has opened. Oh, I'm sorry, junior sister. I apologize for embarrassing my brother. Everyone was talking in shock, and some even scared to pee. Fortunately, Qingjian Ancestor had extraordinary control over power, and this sword intent did not suppress the crowd. Of course, under the deliberate control of the Qingjian Ancestor, all the sword intentions oppressed the entire tribe on Sun Wukong. What a peculiar power. Wrapped in the sword intent, Sun Wukong's face showed curiosity. Little friend, I have to admit that you are indeed very powerful, and I don't waste time. This sword is the strongest move I have created myself. If you can take it, you will win. Of course, if you feel unable to resist, you can also give up. Qingjian Ancestor stands proudly in the air, with a giant sword shining brightly above, and an old face full of confidence. Grandpa, come on. Sun Wukong smiled and gave up. That's impossible, even admitting defeat in the face of Shalu was just a way for Wufan to break through in the face of danger. Okay, since that's the case, then be careful. Qingjian Laozu chuckled and continued to point out nonsense. Suddenly, the 100-zhang giant sword with endless sharpness slashed towards Sun Wukong. Chong! The heavy and sharp sound of swords echoed through the sky and earth. The strong wind made Sun Wukong's hunting sound, but as he watched the giant sword strike, Sun Wukong did not move. Why hasn't he moved? I'm not scared out of my wits, am I? Seeing Sun Wukong motionless, everyone exclaimed in shock. Jian Yu and others stared fixedly at Sun Wukong. Qingjian Ancestor couldn't help but furrow his brow slightly. Just as the giant sword was about to strike Sun Wukong, he suddenly gave a faint smile and quickly raised a finger in the astonished gaze of the crowd, lightly tapping onto the huge blade. Bang! The huge sword trembled fiercely. In an instant, a violent energy burst out, and a layer of visible energy ripples spread between the finger blades. At the next moment, everyone's pupils suddenly contracted, as if they had seen a ghost, and dense cracks appeared on the huge sword. Boom! Immediately after, the huge sword burst into pieces, transforming into a fighting aura and dissipating in mid-air. Puff! The moves connected by the control were crushed, and the green sword ancestor was backfired, flying out upside down with blood spurting out of his mouth. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Which race? You are listening at Novel FUL.audio. At this moment, everyone couldn't believe their eyes, and the whole room fell silent, followed by a thunderous uproar. Huangji realm. He is definitely the ultimate realm. Oh my goodness. How could there be such a young emperor in the extreme realm? How did he cultivate himself? The disciples thoroughly fried the pot and looked at Sun Wukong above. The core disciple, Zhongjian Wuchen, twitched at the corner of his mouth. He started practicing at the age of 7 and has now stepped into the half-step realm at 20. He has always regarded himself as a genius, and in terms of talent, even Xiao Kuang, who is known as the first pride of the divine and demon continent in the Zhongzhou domain, Jian Wuchen has confidence in patting his chest to ensure that he does not compare himself to the variants. But at this moment, Jian Wuchen felt that his confidence had been severely damaged. Compared to Sun Wukong, wasn't he just trash? The Sky Sword said that Tian and the elders were also stunned, and Sun Wukong's strength completely shocked their eyes. Qingjian Patriarch sprayed blood and flew backwards, like a watering can, finally stabilizing his figure in mid-air. Grandpa, are you okay? Sun Wukong was startled when he saw the old man vomit so much blood. He didn't expect the other person to be so weak. Before he could exert his strength, the other person was injured. No, it's okay. Qingjian Ancestor covered his chest, his old face turning red, and it took him a long time to recover. I didn't expect Sun Xiaoyu to have such strength at such a young age. I am blind. Qingjian Laozu's face showed a bitter smile, realizing that he was not on the same level as others, and he became even more curious about Sun Wukong's identity. However, as an old martial artist, he knows what to ask and what not to ask. After all, sometimes the more he knows, the more dangerous it becomes. A powerful existence like Sun Wukong inexplicably appears in the Qinglong domain with injuries. And it still emerges from the cracks in space, which all indicate the other person's extraordinary qualities. It's better not to get involved with an extraordinary person doing extraordinary things like yourself. Grandpa praised me too much, as long as you're okay. Seeing that the old man was not a big deal, Sun Wukong also felt relieved. Sun Xiaoyu not only has strong strength, but also has a very kind heart. He is actually a model of our generation, I admire him. Qingjian Patriarch stroked his beard and laughed. I see that Sun Xiaoyu's injury has not fully recovered yet. I wonder if you would like to stay and rest for a few days, so that our sect can treat you well. Okay. Sun Wukong was taken aback and quickly realized. What, do you have food to eat? I'm a bit hungry. Feeling his stomach, Sun Wukong felt a bit embarrassed. He said that after fighting with Shalu for so long, his stomach was already hungry. Upon hearing this, Qingjian Ancestor couldn't help but be taken aback. He immediately burst out laughing and said, yes, we have enough food. Let's go and have a meal with Sun Xiaoyu. Oh, okay. Patriarch Jianyuetian reacted and quickly smiled, son, please come here. We have steamed bear paws, steamed deer tail, roasted duck, roasted chicks, roasted. This battle has come to an end like this. As for whether to win or not, it doesn't matter at all. It's not at the same level, there's nothing else to say. The entire Qingjian sect instantly transformed from one of the 8 hegemonic forces in the Qinglong domain to the Licking King, and the entire sect held a grand banquet to welcome Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong has become a divine presence in their eyes. Similarly, in the ban imposed by the masters, the disciples honestly did not inquire about Sun Wukong's identity. Strong like this, is it something we can inquire about? Obviously not. What should Sun Wukong do if he uses a large amount of spiritual power from our sect's Xianyuan pool? Then let him use it. Such a loser who uses our resources looks up to us, don't you understand? It's delicious. Sleeping trough Sun, please slow down and don't choke. Yes, have some soup. At the dining table, everyone was dumbfounded and had never seen anything that could be eaten before. Sun Wukong puffed his cheeks and indulged in wild eating and drinking. The plates on both sides were piled higher than a person's, and as for his image, it had no image at all. On the side, the chief disciple Jian Wuchen took the lead as a waiter, serving Sun Wukong soup. The crowd was deeply shocked by Sun Wukong's appetite again. After a full meal, Sun Wukong was very satisfied with his meal. After the meal, Jian Wuchen's service was very good. He took Sun Wukong to take a shower and changed his clothes. A set of white sect uniforms transformed Sun Wukong's image. What's that? Son, I see your injury hasn't fully recovered yet. Why don't you stay for a while and stay longer? Yeah, are you guests? Let's treat you well. As for what you said about the place called Earth, we have already sent people to inquire, and I believe there will be news soon. Under the intentional hints of the big shots above, Jian Wuchen and others were very attentive, providing a one-stop service of food and drink. The level of enthusiasm was unbearable for Sun Wukong, just like listening to music on Golan. Well. Okay. Sun Wukong chuckled and scratched his head, thinking to himself that it wouldn't matter if he returned a few days late. Anyway, Shalu was already dead, so he agreed to everyone's plea. As for the Earth, I just casually mentioned it during my meal before. Since someone is willing to help inquire about the location of the Earth, it's also a good thing. The author chuckled and said, don't worry, they won't be able to find the location of Earth even if they die. In this way, the reception of Sun Wukong was handled by core disciples such as Jian Wuchen, while on the other hand, there was the Dragon Head Peak Conference Hall. At this time, in the main hall, the high-level members of the sect gathered together, and the Green Sword Ancestor sat on the remaining head. Below were the sect leader Sword Yu Tian, as well as the elders and deacons of the group. That's right, because of Sun Wukong's incident, everyone held an emergency meeting. This person is very complicated, said Qingjian Ancestor. The previous probing must have been noticed by everyone as well. He had neither the fighting spirit of a warrior or the essence of a mage in his body, only the qi and blood power trained by his own body functions. Everyone nodded, their faces solemn. You should know that qi and blood power are just the basic conditions that ordinary people need to possess before becoming martial artists. In other words, that young man named Sun Wukong is not even considered a martial artist. And he surprisingly trained the power of qi and blood to such a terrifying level, it's unbelievable. It is obvious that he must have a special and powerful bloodline, otherwise it would be impossible to achieve this step, said the sect leader's sword to the heavenly Tao. Qingjian Patriarch nodded, looking at the history of the entire continent, only the 10,000 demons of that era could achieve this step. Upon hearing this, everyone was surprised. An elder widened his eyes and said, is he a descendant of the Wanyao tribe with a special bloodline? It is rumored that thousands of years ago, the 10,000 demons tribe rose to power and unified the entire divine and demon continent, becoming the dominant force on the continent. No other tribe, whether ancient or holy, could compare to it. They do not cultivate fighting spirit or magic, only pure physical strength, and stimulate the power of qi and blood in their bodies through horizontal training. And they can possess the power to dominate the mainland solely through horizontal training, because their bodies are filled with powerful bloodlines of different levels. 1,000 years ago, for some unknown reason, the entire demon clan was slaughtered overnight by an unknown powerhouse, and only a few members of the clan escaped. Even fewer have survived to this day. The former hegemon was completely destroyed in the long river of history. Over the years, the surviving descendants of the 10,000 Demons clan have become increasingly bloodless and can be considered completely deposed. Nowadays, it has been caught by the world and sold as slaves, becoming a plaything for the children of those aristocratic families. But it's not true. I heard that the demonic people have different forms, including those with human bodies and dog heads, and those with cat's ears, steamed cat.ear-shaped bread. They all have demonic characteristics, but the Monkey King is completely human, without demonic characteristics. An elder with a mole on his nose puzzled and said. Alright, don't worry so much, let's not inquire about his identity either, said Qinglong ancestor. At this moment, a female elder said, the origin of Sun Wukong is unknown. What are we keeping him in the sect for? What if he causes any trouble? Hee hee. Qinglong Patriarch shook his head and said with a bitter smile, old man, this poison has been in my body for too long. Instead of hanging like this all the time, it's better to fight at once. Upon hearing this, everyone couldn't help but be taken aback and immediately showed surprise. Jian said to Tian, feeling even more nervous, Ancestor, are you? With a wave of his hand, Qinglong Patriarch smiled and said, this is a good opportunity. With the help of Sun Xiaoyu, let's fight for it. If we succeed, our Qinglong sect can survive. If not, we still only have the chance to be destroyed. After all, Zixiao sect has always been thinking about us. As for whether I live or die, it depends on fate. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Go to the Abyss of Infinity. You are listening at Novel FUL.audio. It's night, the bright moon in the sky. Under the bright moonlight, a figure of Qinglong sect sneaked out of Xian Peak and arrived at the back mountain. The broad brim of his hat covered his face, making it difficult to see his appearance clearly. He looked around to confirm that there were no others, and then a jade slip flashed in his hand, followed by a black eagle flying from the night sky. Tie the jade slips onto the black eagle's claws, and the black eagle spreads its wings and disappears into the night sky. After finishing all of this, the figure breathed a sigh of relief, but there was still a hint of solemnity in his eyes. Sun Wukong's appearance really scared him, it was too strong, and this news must be transmitted back as soon as possible. The next day, Sun Wukong was awakened early in the morning by enthusiastic Jian Wuchen and others. After yesterday's interaction, Jian Wuchen and others found that Sun Wukong not only did not have a strong demeanor, but also was approachable, which gradually made them no longer restrained. However, in terms of service, everyone was still very up to standard, and even used the beauty trick. 4 or 5 beautiful female disciples helped Sun Wukong dress, and let's talk about Sun Wukong. He was as steady as an old dog, after all, he was a pure man who could sit on a somersault cloud. Just a slight concession at the beginning, and then let the girl help him dress, even if the girl deliberately rubs him in an indescribable place midway, she doesn't mind. Dressing, washing up, and then having breakfast, the service was excellent. The people here are so enthusiastic, well, it would be great if Chi-Chi was also so gentle, Sun Wukong thought to himself. Alas, I can't bear it anymore. The water can't go down anymore, it's time to get to the point. After breakfast, Qinglong ancestor came over and Jian Wuchen and others voluntarily left. The old man didn't hesitate and directly explained his purpose. At the junction of Qinglong Domain and Tianqin Domain, there is a place called Wuji Abyss. Below Wuji Abyss, there is a place called Yin-Yang Pond. In the center of Yin-Yang Pond, there is a spirit tree with red spirit fruits on it, called Nirvana Spirit Flame Fruit. This spiritual fruit can not only greatly increase a person's cultivation, but also heal all injuries. It is said that as long as there is a breath, eating this fruit can bring them back to life, and it is not a problem to break limbs and be reborn. The old man has been poisoned for many years, and I can't live long now. Why not fight once and use this Nirvana Spirit Flame Fruit to break through the Imperial Extreme Realm? Only by breaking through the Imperial Extreme Realm can I drive the poison out of the body. However, there are usually powerful demon beasts guarding the spiritual treasures of heaven and earth, and next to the Nirvana Spirit Flame Fruit is a demon beast comparable to the Imperial Extreme Realm. Qinglong ancestor smiled bitterly. The Huangji realm, even with the joint efforts of all the heavenly realm powerhouses in the Qinglong domain, cannot deal with such a level of existence. Grandpa, do you mean to let me deal with that monster? Sun Wukong was not foolish and naturally understood the old man's meaning. Qingjian Laozu nodded and said, but Sun Xiaoyu just need to hold on to it for a moment, and I will seize the spiritual fruit as soon as possible. In his opinion, although Sun Wukong's strength is very strong, even comparable to the extreme realm of the Emperor, he does not believe that Sun Wukong is really the opponent of that great demon. After all, Sun Wukong is only powerful in terms of qi and blood, and his attack is also single, only able to engage in close combat. Is that monster very powerful? Sun Wukong's eyes couldn't help but brighten. He didn't understand the realm breakthrough he said to the old man, but it seems that the demon beast should be very powerful. Qingjian ancestor's face was solemn and he said, very impressive. If Sun Xiaoyu is defeated, we will quickly evacuate. Okay, then let's go now. Sun Wukong rubbed his hands and, as a battle maniac, his hands began to itch. Thank you very much for Sun Xiaoyu's help. I have taken note of such kindness, old man. If I can break through smoothly, there will be a reward in the future. Seeing Sun Wukong agreeing to help, Qingjian Patriarch was overjoyed. Sun Wukong scratched his head and said with a smile, it's okay, then what? Grandpa, just call me Wukong. Sun Xiaoyu sounds strange. Good. Qingjian Laozu chuckled and became more satisfied with Sun Wukong. He thought to himself whether to betroth his granddaughter to the other person. However, when he thought about Sun Wukong's mystery, he dispelled this idea, pointing out that he might not even be interested in his granddaughter. Not long after, a huge blue giant bird flew out of the Qingjian sect. This giant bird is a fifth-order flying demon beast, the Qingling Xuandiao, and is the mount of the Qingjian ancestor. After arranging the trivial matters, Qingjian Patriarch set off with Sun Wukong, accompanied by the sect leader Jian Yutian and 2 sect protectors. The Qingling Xuandiao was several zhang long and carried 5 people without any crowding. Qingjian sect, not long after the Qingjian ancestor and Sun Wukong left, some people became dishonest. One was a young man dressed as a disciple, and the other was actually the 5 elder swordling. Luo Qing, this is a great opportunity. Hurry up and inform the sect leader. As for the little guy Jian Wuchen, I will personally take action this time. Jianling sneered, saying that he was the old dark guy who had been summoned last night. Now that the strongest members of the Qingjian sect and Sun Wukong have left, it is the best time to take action. Yes. The young man dressed as the disciple bowed and took orders, and soon his figure transformed into a stream of light, rising up into the sky and disappearing into the sky in the blink of an eye. The Wuji Abyss is located at the junction of the Qinglong domain and the Tianqin domain, not too far from the Qingjian sect. The Qingling Xuandiao, carrying Sun Wukong and others, arrived in just half a day. This is a cliff, deep and bottomless, about a kilometer away from the opposite cliff. It stretches dozens of miles in both directions, and when viewed from above, it looks like a huge ravine cut out by a giant sword. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Not at home. You are listening at novelful.audio. Is this the abyss of infinity? The crowd flew away from the Qingling Xuandiao and stood in the air, Sun Wukong looking down. Well, down below is the Yin-Yang Pond, said Qingjian ancestor. Thinking of the demon beast by the side of the Yin-Yang Pond, Qingjian Patriarch couldn't help but show a hint of fear on his face. Under the temptation of the Nirvana Spirit Flame Fruit, 3 years ago they gathered the entire 8th level power of the Qinglong domain to seize it. However, they were defeated by the demon beast and could have died without a whole body if they hadn't escaped quickly. Okay, let's hurry down then. Sun Wukong's face was full of excitement and he rubbed his hands. He couldn't wait to have a fight with that powerful monster. Upon seeing the situation, several people couldn't help but remain silent. Sword Yu Tian quickly reminded them, Brother Wukong, if you are defeated later, withdraw immediately. Don't hold on hard. Well, don't worry, Sun Wukong smiled. Without wasting time, a few people flew towards the bottom of the cliff together. The strong wind rustled in my ears, and as it fell, the surrounding light began to dim. Step on. Not long after, a few people fell to the bottom of the cliff. Strangely, the light here became brighter. Upon closer inspection, it turned out that the surrounding plants were emitting a hazy white light. It's really amazing. Sun Wukong looked around curiously. Wukong, be careful not to touch those plants. Some plants are poisonous, although they are not deadly, they can affect the operation of Duqi. Qingjian Patriarch reminded. What is fighting spirit? Sun Wukong wondered. Okay, this kid doesn't have any fighting spirit, he just has pure energy and blood, and a few people couldn't help but be taken aback. Don't you know about fighting spirit? A few people looked at Sun Wukong strangely. Even if the other party did not cultivate fighting spirit, it was impossible not to know fighting spirit. Sun Wukong shook his head and said he had never heard of it before. This is fighting spirit, Jian said as Tian reached out his hand and explained. A red energy flame rose from his palm, causing the surrounding temperature to sharply rise. Everyone's fighting spirit is different. Some people practice water attribute techniques, and the fighting spirit they produce is blue. For example, I have fire attribute fighting spirit. When attacking enemies, in addition to attacking power, I also cause a burning sensation. So magical. Upon hearing this, Sun Wukong's eyes lit up. Well, Brother Wukong, let's get down to business first. We'll go back later and discuss the matter of fighting spirit in detail. At this moment, the few people were already mentally tense, after all, the monster they had to face next. Okay. Sun Wukong doesn't procrastinate either. Business matters. A few people walked forward, and in no time, their eyes suddenly became clear. A huge pool appeared 100 meters ahead, with strange red and blue colors in the pool, half emitting heat and half emitting icy cold. There is a stone platform in the center of the pond, on which grows a small red tree with several baby fist-sized fruits. Qingjian Ancestor's face was solemn, and he raised his hand to signal everyone to stop. Looking at the fruits on the tree, everyone's breathing became rapid. Sword said, Tianmu Guang stared fixedly at the yin-yang pond and whispered without looking back. Brother Wukong, that monster is nearby. Let's deploy a simple battle plan. Later, you will take the main attack, while Lin and Li Hu Fa will provide long-range assistance. I will launch a surprise attack in the dark, and my ancestor will go and seize the Nirvana Spirit Flame Fruit to fight for it. Halfway through, Jian Yu turned his head to look at Sun Wukong, and his voice suddenly stopped. There was no figure of Sun Wukong beside him, and at the same time, Sun Wukong's voice came from ahead. Hello. Are you there? I heard you're very skilled. Come out and fight me. Sun Wukong appeared in front of the yin-yang pool at an unknown time and spoke loudly without hesitation. Lying trough. Is this guy so tiger? Qingjian Laozu and his companions were immediately dumbfounded. After a moment of silence, there was no movement. The powerful monster that Qingjian Ancestor and his companions had described did not appear. Sun Wukong looked around and scratched the back of his head. Aren't you at home? Hello, are you at home? He shouted again. Sleeping trough, big brother, don't shout anymore. The hearts of Qingjian Ancestor and others are about to jump out of their mouths. What? I don't think there are any powerful monsters here. After waiting for a while, there was still no sound. Sun Wukong complained a bit, and at the same time, he carefully felt that there was indeed no strong aura around him. Turning his head to look at the fruit on the tree in the middle of the pond, Sun Wukong flew over directly. "Be careful, Wukong. Come back quickly. The monster should be nearby." "It." Qingjien Laozu quickly spoke out to remind Sun Wukong, but halfway through, he stopped speaking. Jian Yu and Tian looked at Sun Wukong in surprise. Because at this point, Sun Wukong had already flown to the center of the yin-yang pool and had picked several fruits from the spirit tree. Crouching slot, then. Shouldn't that monster really be gone? Sword said. Tian was a bit confused. "Grandpa, are you mistaken? There aren't any powerful monsters here." Sun Wukong flew back and landed in front of everyone, handing 6 Nirvana spirit flame fruits directly to the green sword patriarch, muttering in his mouth, looking somewhat disappointed. "Ah, this." Qingjien Laozu took the fruit in a daze, his expression very bewildered. "Can it still be like this? What have we been doing in the past 3 years? Being intimidated. Is that monster not even a companion monster of Nirvana spirit flame fruit? Did that monster just happen to come here and meet us, and then coincidentally start fighting? After finishing the fight, they didn't even care about the Nirvana spirit flame fruit and left. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Sun Wukong vs. Tiger Head Man. You are listening at novel FUL.audio. But isn't that right? So why were we always there every time we came? Sword said. Tian and the others were filled with disbelief at this moment. No, we must be lucky this time. The monster should not be here by chance. Wukong, let's go quickly. Maybe the monster will come back soon. Qingjien Laozu slapped his thigh and said solemnly on his face. Right, right. Brother Wukong, let's go quickly. If we don't leave again, we may not have time. The sword said. Heaven also urges the way. Coming. Sun Wukong suddenly showed a hint of excitement on his face, turning his head to look in the direction not far away. He felt a powerful aura rushing from that direction. Not good, it's here, Wukong, it's up to you. Qingjien Ancestor and others also felt it, and in an instant, they became completely alert. They turned around and stared fixedly in the direction of Leisure. Boom boom. At the same time, the ground beneath my feet, including the surrounding cliffs, began to vibrate violently. Immediately after, an extremely angry roar came from afar. Ah ah. Bastard, dare to steal my king's treasure. I want you to die. I want you to die. The word death carries an echo, making the vibration of the cliff even more intense, as if it was about to collapse at any moment. Then, everyone saw a blood-colored stream of light flying rapidly from a distance, and in the blink of an eye, it appeared above themselves and others. The blood-colored streamer dissipated, revealing its sturdy figure, resembling a tiger, but with a human tiger head. It was obvious that it was in the late stage of transformation. It's it, it's it, it's it. Looking at this tiger face, Jian Yutian and the 2 guardians showed a hint of fear both on their faces. Although Qingjien Patriarch pretended to be calm on the surface, he couldn't help but feel a little anxious in his heart. Compared to 3 years ago, the scent emanating from this tiger-headed old man made them even more frightened. Bring it. The tiger-head man took a deep breath, his voice low, and it stood in the air. It didn't immediately attack, but instead stared fixedly at the green sword ancestor. From its violent gaze, it can be seen that it is currently trying its best to suppress its anger. Upon hearing this, the Qingjien Patriarch and others became even more anxious. Here. That is absolutely impossible. Once you give it to yourself, the other party will definitely act without any hesitation. Seeing that there was no movement among the people, the tiger-head man also felt a surge of excitement. Just now, he sensed that his spiritual fruit had been picked and thought it had been eaten, so he shouted to kill. At present, seeing that the fruit has not been eaten, the tiger-head person is afraid to take action. What if he forces the other party to be anxious and eats all the stuffy food before death without leaving it for himself? Mad. Thinking of this, the tiger-headed man couldn't help but feel angry. He had known he wouldn't go to soak the mother tiger, but now that it's okay, he can't get into the tiger's den and his own house has been stolen. Taking a deep breath, the tiger-head person's tone softened. Old man, how about this? You hand over the fruit, and I can let you go. How about that? Hello. Excuse me, I heard you're very impressive. Can I spar with you for a while? And just then, an disharmonious voice suddenly sounded. Sun Wukong rubbed his fists and palms as he spoke, with a hint of excitement on his face. The tiger-headed man did give him a strong feeling, and on the other hand, he had not fought in a day and his hands were itchy. Where did Mada come from, you idiot? The tiger-headed person instinctively looked at Sun Wukong, but the next moment, his pupils couldn't help but shrink. Previously, Sun Wukong's attention was drawn to the Nirvana Spirit Flame fruit, but now, upon seeing it, the tiger-head man couldn't help but tremble. For some reason, he felt a hint of danger from the young man in front of him. At this moment, the tiger-head man became somewhat conflicted. In addition to having a strong background, it also relied on its keen perception of danger. Whenever it encountered danger, it could retreat early and avoid it. At present, let's not compete with the other party. The other party may come hard. Let's compete with them, and they may face a bitter battle. Moreover, now that the Nirvana Spirit Flame fruit is in their hands, I have no choice. Okay, I accept your challenge. Mad hesitated for a moment, and then the tiger-head responded with a deep voice, but if you lose, you must keep 3 spirit fruits. As for losing himself, the tiger-head person never thought about it. In other regions, he is confident that he will not lose to anyone in this small Qinglong domain. The attitude of the tiger-head person surprised the Qingjian ancestor and others. How did the other party become so easy to talk about? It seems that when I waited for someone else to come before, it wasn't like this. Haven't we seen each other for 3 years? Has the other person changed their nature? Good. Please give me more guidance. Without hesitation, Sun Wukong put on a combat posture. Bang! The tiger-head man didn't talk anymore, and the ground collapsed under his feet. His body transformed into a remnant and rushed out. At the same time, an extremely fierce demon element erupted. The tiger-head man planned to make a full move and fight quickly. He appeared in front of Sun Wukong in an instant, with tiger claws and terrifying demon elements padding towards him. Sun Wukong did not dodge or dodge, and with a punch, he fiercely shook the opponent's tiger claws. Boom! Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Half-Step Sacred Artifact. You are listening at novel FUL.audio. The earth shook suddenly, and the terrifying energy rippled into energy ripples centered around the two people's fists, spreading in all directions. The ground beneath their feet instantly cracked, and for a moment, a gust of wind swept through the rubble. Lying trough. Qingjian Laozu and others stared wide-eyed and quickly retreated, quickly distancing themselves from the two. At the same time, they were horrified that the remaining energy of the mere confrontation was so terrifying. With a hard hit, both of them shot backwards at the same time, and the next moment, they charged towards each other again. Sun Wukong's eyes lit up, which was a bit interesting. With just one move, he confirmed the opponent's strength, which was much stronger than the green sword ancestor. If he had to make a comparison, it should be comparable to the transformation strength of the second form of Frisa. At the next moment, the two had already rushed together, and the tiger-headed person's body turned into a red light that flashed behind Sun Wukong. The tiger's claws were like sharp blades piercing towards Sun Wukong's heart. Whoosh! Sun Wukong didn't even turn his head back, his body suddenly flashed and moved horizontally, avoiding the attack of the tiger-headed man. He swept out with a whip leg on his side. The tiger-head man propped his left hand flat, with a red demon element barrier blocking Sun Wukong's attack. At the same time, his right hand slapped a blood-colored claw imprint condensed by the demon element at an extremely tricky angle, attacking Sun Wukong's forehead. Sun Wukong turned his head slightly to one side, avoiding the blood-stained paw marks, and approached with a deceptive approach. His fist's elbow and knee turned into a fierce attack, enveloping the tiger-head man. The tiger-head man was not afraid at all and fought against him. Bang, bang, bang. At this moment, the two of them fought together, with violent energy ripples spreading as they fought each other. Wherever the energy remnants passed, everything turned into powder. Is this so fierce? The green sword ancestor and others who retreated to the distance were completely stunned at this moment. They knew that Sun Wukong was very strong, but they did not expect to be so strong that they could stand alone against the tiger-head man. You know, that tiger-headed person is a formidable existence that can crush dozens of heavenly peaks with its own strength. However, what they didn't know was that what they saw at this moment was only the tip of the iceberg of Sun Wukong's strength. And as they continued to fight, the tiger-head man was also deeply shocked in his heart. It was only then that he realized that the opponent had neither fighting spirit nor essence in his body, and was only using the power of qi and blood to fight against him. Bang bang. The confrontation between the two sides was extremely intense, hitting from the sky to the ground, and then from the ground to the sky. The terrifying aftermath of the battle swept across all sides. Of course, our Sun Wukong did not exert all his strength. Firstly, he was injured, and secondly, he did not need to exert all his strength with the opponent's strength. Otherwise, ending the battle with one punch would be too boring. Bang! Even though Sun Wukong suppressed his strength, the tiger-head man still fell into the disadvantageous position, making a mistake and being directly punched in the chest by Sun Wukong. The tiger-headed person was suddenly hit hard, and the whole person was thrown upside down, crashing into the rear cliff with a loud bang, causing the entire cliff to vibrate violently. Impossible, impossible, there can't be such a strong person in the Qinglong domain. Who the hell are you? The tiger-head man broke free from the cliff and looked solemnly at Sun Wukong. It realized that it had underestimated the opponent. Now it seemed that the strength of the young man in front of him was definitely above his own. In the previous confrontation, he could only use the power of qi and blood to suppress himself. What kind of person am I? Well, how can I put it? I don't belong to your planet, I come from Earth. Sun Wukong touched his nose and smiled. Although it is true that he is a Saiyan, Sun Wukong has long been accustomed to identifying himself as an Earthling. Planet. Earth. What kind of thing? The tiger-headed man frowned and thought to himself, I have a lot of knowledge, but I don't remember the place the other person said. Is it a powerful hidden world region? The divine and demon continent is composed of many regions. In addition to those large regions, there are also some hidden and powerful domains. Alright, the warm-up is over. Don't hide your strength anymore. I can feel that you still have stronger strength to use. Sun Wukong smiled and twisted his neck while speaking, doing a few leg presses and squats. Good guy. Was it just a warm-up just now? Qingjian ancestor and his companions couldn't help but shrink their necks, instinctively retreating once again and distancing themselves from the two. Humph. Since that's the case, then I'll fulfill you well. The tiger-headed man's eyes were burning with anger, and Sun Wukong's relaxed and self-satisfied appearance made him feel a sense of being looked down upon. Without further ado, there was a flash of brilliance in my hand, and a blood-colored large sword appeared, with a cold and soul-capturing blade. Roar. As soon as this knife was struck, a heart-wrenching roar of a tiger echoed through the entire abyss of infinity. At the same time, the tiger-headed man's breath began to soar wildly, and a blood-red light appeared on the surface of his body. Boom! Hoo-hoo! Immediately after, the wind and clouds in the sky changed color, thunder and clouds surged, and an extremely violent energy cyclone lingered around the tiger-head man. Half-step artifact. How could this be possible? The green sword ancestor, who had retreated from afar, was shocked and stunned. The breath erupted from the tiger-head man made them feel weak. They never expected that a monster would have a half-step holy artifact. That's a half-step holy weapon. Even those high-ranking Tianzong realm masters with extraordinary identities in higher regions cannot have it casually. The tiger-head man actually has it, and he has also completed the rumored fusion of weapons and spirits, the combination of human and sword. The combination of demon and sword. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. The First Turtle Sect Qigong in the Outer Realm. You are listening at novel FUL.audio. Something's wrong, this demon's identity is definitely extraordinary, and the green sword ancestor and others have an unpleasant expression. At this moment, they couldn't help but start worrying about Sun Wukong. That's a bit interesting, come on. Watching the tiger-head man in an explosive state, Sun Wukong showed a satisfied expression on his face and immediately set up his combat posture again. Indeed, the tiger-head man gave him a completely different feeling than before. Ha, kid, I admit that you are indeed very strong, but next, be careful yourself. I won't keep my hand. The corners of the tiger's mouth curved playfully. After speaking, he didn't need to talk anymore and started directly. His figure flashed and disappeared instantly with a whoosh. The speed was so fast that it felt like teleportation. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Sun Wukong and swung out with a knife, distorting the space. So fast. Sun Wukong's eyes fixed and he dodged narrowly. The next moment, he was hit by a heavy punch from the tiger-head man on his face, and he flew out upside down. Bang! The ground collapsed under his feet, and the tiger-headed person rushed out like an arrow from a string to catch up with Sun Wukong. One knee pressed violently against Sun Wukong's waist, causing him to rush straight into the sky. Without a moment's pause, the tiger-head man soared into the sky, surpassing Sun Wukong, with an explosive and swift chop of his legs. Bang! Sun Wukong seemed unstoppable and was chopped down from the sky. With a loud bang, the earth collapsed into a huge deep pit, dust was flying, and a mushroom cloud slowly rose. This. The distant green sword ancestor and a few others stared wide-eyed. They were really scared. After the outbreak, the tiger-head man was incredibly powerful, and Sun Wukong was instantly stunned. It seemed that he didn't even have the power to fight back. Now that the calf is finished, several people are completely panicked. Bang! At this moment, a burst of explosion echoed into the mushroom cloud, followed by a powerful residual wave of energy sweeping through all directions, instantly dispersing the mushroom cloud. Hee, not bad, much stronger than just now. In the huge sunken pit, Sun Wukong twisted his neck left and right, clenched his fists, and his joints made a crisp sound. Wukong! Wukong! Qingjian Patriarch and his companions quickly looked into the pit. Seeing that Sun Wukong seemed to have nothing to do with him, they breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, they were even more excited. Good guy, what kind of monster is this? How strong is Sun Wukong? In the sky, seeing Sun Wukong still alive and bustling, the tiger-head man couldn't help but furrow his brows slightly. It seemed that his attack had not caused any damage to the opponent. Kid, I admit you're very strong, the tiger-headed man said seriously as he looked at Sun Wukong in a moment of silence. So, I'll make the strongest cut I've ever made myself. If you can take it, you'll be considered the winner. How about that? He felt that continuing to fight was meaningless and just a waste of energy. Instead of doing so, it was better to use one move to determine the outcome. Of course, he didn't say what would happen if the opponent couldn't catch this knife, needless to say, because if they couldn't catch it, they would naturally die. Oh. Your strongest move. Upon hearing this, Sun Wukong couldn't help but show a hint of anticipation. Okay, then you can use your move. Humph. Sun Wukong's casual attitude made the tiger-head person angry again. Mad, you're quite crazy, that's great. I must make you pay a heavy price this time. Feeling displeased in his heart, the tiger-headed man's fierce tiger eyes locked onto Sun Wukong, slowly raising his long sword and pouring all his demon elements into it. Boom! In the next moment, the sky and earth changed color, and behind him appeared an immensely huge tiger phantom. A terrifying pressure that captured the soul suddenly descended. Feeling the pressure, Sun Wukong felt as if his surroundings were bound by an invisible layer of energy, but this constraint was very weak. As for the green sword ancestor and others who had been hiding far away, they were almost scared to pee by now. For them, the special pressure was simply too terrifying. Buzz. In the next moment, the tiger-headed person's body was full of red light, and its breath had already condensed to the extreme. Whoosh! With a single strike, the sky changed color, and a terrifying blood-colored blade burst out, instantly transforming into 1,000 zhang massive sky-covering blade that fiercely swung down, as if it was about to split the heavens and earth. Okay. So big. Sun Wukong looked at the crushing blow in shock, but to his surprise, he made a counterattack as soon as possible. As a gesture of respect, a wave of ha-meh-ha-meh-ha was sent up, and the horse crouched slightly. The hands were gathered around the waist and held relatively weakly, then tilted upwards and pushed out in one go. Shoo! Without any earth-shattering momentum, a blue light wave as thick as a bucket shot out from Sun Wukong's palms, instantly colliding with a huge blade. The comparison of the body types of the two attacks, Sun Wukong's turtle-style Qigong wave is like a small toothpick, giving off a feeling of a weak horse shaking a tree. However, in the next moment, the huge blade of the tiger-head man suddenly shook and shattered in the horrified eyes of the green sword ancestor and others. After piercing through the blade, Sun Wukong's turtle Sect Qigong speed did not decrease at all, and he roared straight at the shocked tiger-head man. Boom! Ah! The tiger-head man was unable to dodge and was hit by the turtle Sect Qigong, emitting a tiger-like scream. The sound spread from near to far, and the entire person was pushed out of the abyss by the turtle Sect Qigong, soaring straight into the sky, clouds, and then it turned into a shining star and disappeared. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.